Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you're all too kind. How are the levels? I had to I was cleaning. I had rubbing alcohol. There's things you got to do to take care of this stuff. Make sure the levels are right. Welcome everybody. Oh, that good. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a level. But I might get excited, and so the levels should be down here. There we go. We're good. Hi everybody. I saw that Taronda was first in the chat room again today. I see Barney in the chat room. I see Adam in the chat room. Am I married? I see Cam in the chat room. Am I married? Meaning, did I blend the various chat platforms? We're good. Nope, now we're not. There we are. Now we're good again. All right. Adam says, I waited for this to start to go on my bike ride. How wonderful. Oh, do I love to hear that. Whole reason I do this is because you people are here every day. It's been going on 2.5 years. What are we doing here? What is this called? This is like when two people enable each other. Like we need to stop this, but we ain't stopping because every day for 2.5 years now we've been doing this show. It's the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. What is the High Noon Rant? Well, it's a daily demonstration in the powers of the human mind. Narcissism truly is on display here. It's a stream of consciousness where for 2 hours, I will tell you everything you need to know about this day. Stuff that happened in the past, stuff that is happening today, whatever it is, I will give you a full and well-rounded look at today. I'm going to tell you what's hot today, what's trending, what the headlines are. I'm going to tell you why these things are trending, why they're making headlines. I'll give you my 2 cents and then we'll move on. We don't do divisive politics. We try to keep it to all the other things that we could hate each other about other than how we went and voted in November. That's not what we do here. Okay. And again, it's done as a stream of consciousness, which means I don't take any breaks. I don't stop. I don't talk to anybody else. It's just me and my thoughts. I wake up early in the morning. I compile a list of all of the big headlines and all the big stories of the day. And then I perform it for you every day at noon. There are long pauses. I just got to catch my breath. How are you guys? Barney's here. Peter's here. Everybody's filling in now. Here we go. Come on, everybody. There's room in the chat room. Mix it up before we get officially started. The show is done in 4 quarters. The first quarter is basically this day in history, although I pretentiously call it antecedently on this day. It's just things that have shaped our understanding of this day. Quarter 2 is birthdays. It's self-explanatory. Quarter 3 is deads. Those are the people who died on this day. We decide whether they go to heaven or hell. We got a list. We talk about their lives. Like, this person go to heaven or hell when they died. That's fun. Quarter 4, that's the big bulk of the show. That's where we get into all the headlines, hot topics, trends, whatever it is that people are buzzing about. That's covered in quarter 4. And again, all of this is just me going on and on and on without stopping. So sometimes we do find ourselves in intellectual cul-de-sacs where I take a right turn and then have to beep, beep, beep out of the conversation because that's what happens when you're running unfiltered. Barney says the High Noon Rant isn't a crutch. It's just something I depend on to get through everyday life. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. You do realize there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with me, and there's something wrong with you. And together, we get together every day, and we are wrong collectively. But we do it, and it's fun, and it makes us smile, and it gets you through the day, gets me through the day. By the way, this show does run thanks to your gratuities. So if you are so inclined and you would like to drop a little something, it's right there. You can support the High Noon Rant. Cash App, Venmo, whatever it is. Help out the show. That's how we run. Every day we have an executive producer. We say the person who tipped the best on the show before, I set that bar at a certain amount. We don't have an executive producer today. That's okay, though. That's okay. People still tipped. Thank you. Well, Terry did. I think Terry tipped. So thank you, Terry. What the hell? Let's just go ahead and make Terry the executive producer because Terry's Barney, right? Do I have this right? It's like I can't have I can't have a relationship with Terry in the end. I think they're the same person anyway. How's the weather where you are? I can tell you that I'm I don't know what the hell's going on here. I don't know what's going on here as we do this show from the Comfort Nest Studios in beautiful Highland Park, North Texas. What I mean by that is, here's a serious question for you guys, especially the ones here in the North Texas area, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, if you will. Have you guys turned your air conditioning on yet? I haven't. I almost did yesterday. I almost did. Instead, I just opened all the windows. And I opened all the windows and got a nice cross breeze going through. It was 80 degrees yesterday. It is already 74 degrees here in Highland Park. It's February. My God, it is sunny. It is gorgeous outside. I went for an hour-long walk with the dog yesterday, and because it was so nice, we ventured into areas of Highland Park that we don't ever go with the dog. And why is that? Oh, they're bad neighborhoods of Highland Park? No. We can't go to these certain areas because this dog is an a-hole. When the dog decides that she's not going this way anymore because she smells something in that yard, I have to walk the dog on the same path. She has to be familiar with all the smells. She has to. If I introduce her to new things and new places, she goes nuts. But we did yesterday. We went for an hour walk. I got to cross the street. Like if I'm walking down the sidewalk and somebody else is coming towards me with a dog, I got to cross the street. Because my dog's a jerk. My dog is just a jerk. My dog will be like, look at this other dog. I'm the only dog. That's my dog's attitude. Got to do that. So, oh my God, we came across this beautiful golden retriever. This is why you get a golden retriever. We're walking around a park yesterday. It's like 6:30 at night. Everybody's out walking their dog because it's gorgeous. That I mentioned it's like 80 degrees at 6 o'clock at night. So we're walking around this park, me and the dog, walking. And I can't even wear headphones, by the way, because we're in a strange area and I need to be alert to everything. I need to hear someone speed walking coming up behind me because the dog's liable to go, I should kill that person. The dog she's not as bad as I make her out to be. But it's just, I'm so flinchy with her. Like, I don't want her around. I don't want her being given an opportunity to disappoint me because I just feel like she will. She has attacked James. Oh, by the way, I think I'm on the James show today. James over on 93.3. Let's see, what am I on? I'm gonna be on the James show today at 4:30. How very exciting! 93.3 BAP. The dog has attacked James twice, I believe. And the first time we were like, oh, that's crazy. She's just confused. And then the second time it was like, oh my God, this dog attacks everybody who comes into this house. I love her. I've never had a dog that was more loving, more loyal, more cuddly, more, I want to sleep on you tonight, Daddy, and just will lay on me all night long. She's just, God. So we went for this walk, and I'm crossing the streets. And then finally, she gets an hour walk in a strange area. And here's the problem with Catahoulas, and you can look this up. This is like a thing that they do. We get all the way back to the house. We've covered like 3 miles, man. We've been all over the place. We get back to the house and she's like, this was great. We should do this every day. And we get to the back fence and I go to open the back fence to her yard and she just sits down, man. She drops anchor like a first round left tackle. She just will not move. And now I'm pulling her. And she's got to have a choke collar, even though I hate the choke collar, but that's the only collar that she can be controlled on. And now she's doing this thing with the choke collar where she's fighting it. And she doesn't care about pain. She can take pain. She's like, and I'm pulling. And now I'm feeling guilty like I'm going to hell because I'm pulling the choke collar too tight, but she isn't moving. So ultimately, after an hour and a half walk, I ended up walking up to this like 80-pound hunk of muscle, picking her up, throwing her over my shoulder, and having to physically walk her into the yard and put her down. She wouldn't move. And it's not that she's being mean about it. She's just like, I ain't moving. I am not going to be a party to my oppression. That's what she's doing. She's just sitting there, yanking on the collar. She's like, nope. So that was my day. So we're going to go on another walk. We're going to take the exact same walk that we took yesterday. What I feel like I've accomplished here is I've opened up a new territory for us to walk because, as I've said, she has to be familiar with it. Yesterday was chaos. She wasn't familiar with anything. Today, we're going to go back to the same thing. She's going to be like, okay, Okay, I'm comfortable here now. Yeah, I know I'm ranting. I'm ranting, but that's what this is. It's the high noon rant. Let's check in with the chat room. Let's see who else we've got in there. Peter's here. Did we say hi to Peter? I don't think we did. Hi, Peter. Byron making an appearance. Byron says CeeLo needs a puppy. No, she doesn't need any more murder victims. She does. She would. I don't know. She's a lovely, kind-hearted, warm, sweet animal to me and my son. That's it. That's it. And when I leave here, and there's gonna come a time in the not too distant future where I will be changing studios. I'll be moving out of the Comfort Nest guest house. We're on an egg timer here. I don't know what I'm going to do with her. I don't know what I'm going to do. She's not an apartment dog. She's not my dog. We got to figure out what we're going to do with her. Oh, God. I'd love to take her with me. Oh, man. Life sucks. All right. Anyway, Barney says, I think I got blocked by WBAP, but that ninja rat killer guy says some interesting things in the Facebook chat. I don't know what that's about. Barney, you got blocked from WBAP? I can only imagine the level of lunacy one would have to display to be blocked by WBAP. That station is like a bunch of crazy people. Peter says that it's going to be cold as F by Easter. Fingers crossed. Peter says, also says no AC until 90 or above. Yeah, that's kind of my rule too with the air conditioning. It was 80 yesterday in the house because it was, it's been closed up. I haven't had windows open for months. It was just stuffy. And it was, I was like, man, we should get some cool air through here. And I just ended up opening up all the doors. Doors, windows. We just got a nice cross breeze going. All right, let's get started. It is the High Noon Rant. We are now 14 minutes already into this stream of consciousness. The High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. It is the 21st day of February, year of our Lord, 2024. 52nd day of the year. Okay, that means 314 days remaining because it's a leap year. Let's do quarter one. Quarter one is where we look back at this day in history and we talk about the things. I cherry pick them, not all the things that have happened in history, but just, the ones that I find interesting. Like on this day, antecedently, year of our Lord, 1885, the newly completed Washington Monument is dedicated. I'm not impressed. Have you ever seen the Washington Monument? Maybe that's cool for 1885, but shouldn't we update these things? By 1885 standards, I guess that was cool. That's a giant cement tower with a triangle on top of it. I'm pretty sure the Babylonians were doing shit like this 1,000 years ago, but okay. Timeless. It's, it's as inspired as the St. Louis Gateway Arch. I don't think it's all that great. Like the Washington Monument. Now, if you wanted to build like a 3,000-foot statue of George Washington, badass. But they just built like a big triangle. It's not impressed. Antecedently on this day in 1948, NASCAR is incorporated. Welcome to the party of life, NASCAR. NASCAR became a thing on this day in 1948. Antecedently on this day in 1958, the CND symbol, let's see, is designed and completed by Gerald Holtom. The CND symbol. Do you know what the CND symbol is? Or for that matter, have you ever heard of artist Gerald Holtom? Because he created probably one of the most globally recognized symbols in history. It, of course, isn't known popularly as the CND symbol. This is the day that the peace symbol was unveiled. Every single one of you, I just said the peace symbol. Every single one of you went, oh, and you conjured it in your head and you knew what it was. There you go. That's the artist, Gerald Holtom. You don't know who he is, but his work is certainly big. Antecedently on this day in 1975, Watergate scandal, former United States Attorney General John Mitchell and former White House aides H.R. Haldeman and John Ehrlichman are sentenced to prison. Get them! Lock them up! Lock them up! We did. We locked them up. Antecedently on this day in 1994, Aldrich Ames is arrested by the FBI for selling national secrets to the Soviet Union in Arlington County, Virginia. Lock him up! Is he dead? What's going on with Aldrich Ames? Is he dead or is he still in prison? Or did we let him out for good behavior? Nah, he's still alive. Aldrich Ames is an American former CIA counterintelligence officer who was convicted of espionage on behalf of the Soviet Union and Russia in 1994. Oh my God, they got him at the tail end. The Cold War had ended by 1994. He is serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. All right, how old is he? He's an old ass man. He's in mid-80s. All right, there you go. He's in his mid-80s. Aldrich Ames, there you go. On this day, he is arrested by the FBI. On this day, antecedently in 1995, Steve Fawcett lands in Leader, Saskatchewan, becoming the first person to make a solo flight across the Pacific Ocean in a balloon. Now, do you remember this was 1995? The 90s? The 90s were like the era of ballooning. and it should have been like ironic ballooning in the 1990s. Yeah, you had like, who was the guy? Who's Richard Branson? He was always trying to do stuff in balloons. And then we had the American version of that guy, Steve Fawcett. Steve Fawcett was a Chicago billionaire who just was bored and he started to do ballooning stuff. Why? What's the point? In 1995, Steve Fawcett became the first person to make a solo flight across the Pacific Ocean in a balloon in 1995. This is not an accomplishment in 19. Do you know why no one had crossed the Atlantic in a balloon before 1995? Because people had moved on from balloon travel long before that. There was no funny story. My boss in radio back in the 1990s, a guy by the name of Kevin Matthews, we were screwing around on the air and we were joking about the size of Lake Michigan. And he joked that he could ride a jet ski across Lake Michigan from wherever, from Chicago all the way to Grand Haven, Michigan. And he was adamant about it. He's like, I could do that. I could totally do that. So we, the producers of the show, we started looking into, is that a thing? Like, do people do that? Because it's not like you don't know people going, yeah, I took a jet ski across Lake Michigan. Like, that's not a thing. So why isn't it a thing? Is it not a thing because it can't be done and the lake will kill you on a jet ski in the middle of it? I don't know. Or is it not a thing just because it seems hard and nobody ever thought to do it? Well, it turned out it had never been done. And so we did it. We made my host take a jet ski across Lake Michigan. And he became the first person to officially take a jet ski across Lake Michigan. I don't know that anybody's done it since. You know why? Because it's unnecessary, like ballooning. It's not a thing. Steve Fawcett on this day, he crossed the Atlantic in a balloon and everybody pretended like it was an accomplishment. On this day in 2022, the Russo-Ukrainian crisis, Russian President Vladimir Putin declares that the Luhansk people, the Republic, and the Donetsk People's Republic, they are now independent from Ukraine. He moves troops into the region. The action is condemned by the United Nations. That was on this day in 2022, 2 years ago, the start of the Ukraine. Well, it's a war. And I would like to say, I've already mentioned that I will be on James Parker's show on 93.3 WBAP this afternoon at 4:30. I would like to say that he and I were doing our show together the very day that this war broke out, and we discussed it. And I will tell you, James Parker's response was, it'll be over in a week, and this isn't a big deal. That's right. That's the kind of serious-minded breakdowns you get from WBAP hosts. He was wrong. I was right. I said, this is a ridiculous war. This is going to go on forever. Actually, that's not true. I didn't say it would go on forever. I believe at the time, if I'm being honest, I was like, oh, Russia should just steamroll them, but it's going to be messy and it's going to be bad. Point is, I knew it was going to be a serious thing. And James was like, nah. All right, that's going to do it. Antecedently on this day, let's move on. Let's talk about birthdays. Buonam, bonum, bonum. They claim it's their birthday. Buonam, bonum, bonum. I'll take their word for it. All right, celebrating a birthday today. Let's go. You know how I love filmmakers. I'm a big filmmaker guy. I love to drop a little spotlight on a famous filmmaker and talk about his films. Well, on this day, born on this day, in the year of our Lord, 1925, a director who, when serious film people get together, this is not a guy who's mentioned with your Spielbergs or your Hitchcocks or, these, but he's a guy that when serious film people get together, they go, oh, well, who I think is the greatest is it? Ladies and gentlemen, born on this day in 1925, Sam Peckinpah. Sam Peckinpah. He did The Wild Bunch. Sam Peckinpah. He did Convoy. Breaker 19, anybody there? He did Convoy. Sam Peckinpah. All right, so here's the thing about Sam Peckinpah and me. I don't know much about him. We're moving on. Happy birthday, filmmaker Sam Peckinpah. Born on this day in 1925. Born on this day in 1933, another filmmaker, a guy who's widely associated with New Hollywood, which was the 1970s, late 60s sort of movement of reality. Easy Rider, executive producer, Bob Rafelson. Bob Rafelson is celebrating a birthday today. I think he also created the Monkees. I think he might be the guy who created the Monkees. Bob Rafelson. He was Jack Nicholson's best friend. Whenever you used to see Jack Nicholson at Laker games, they would always put the camera on Jack Nicholson sitting there at the Laker game. That Bob Rafelson was who he was with. Bob Rafelson was his best friend. The guy was Bob Rafelson. Moving on. Happy birthday, Bob Rafelson. Is he dead? I think so. He is. He died last year. Born on this day in 1934. Happy birthday to Rue McClanahan. She's one of the Golden Girls. Overrated show. I never watched it. Millennials love it. I think I missed it. Because again, here's what I say about Golden Girls. Like millennials, for some reason, they're like, Golden Girls is like one of the greats of all time. I'm like, I think I've probably seen 2 episodes. I don't know. Golden Girls was on in the late 80s. I was like in college. I was a dude in college in the late 80s. Golden Girls was on Saturday nights. It was a show about a bunch of old women. Sorry, I never watched it. I never tuned in. You know who did? Millennials who were 10 years younger than me, who were 9 years old, and they were stuck at home on Saturday nights watching TV with grandma. Those are the people who appreciate Golden Girls. Nobody over 60 watched that show by choice, is my point. Anyway, Rue McClanahan, happy birthday to her. Born on this day in 1934. Born on this day in 1943, David Geffen. Oh, he's a big baller in the music industry. Born on this day in 1946, Tyne Daly. Here's how my 10-year-old mind processed the TV show Cagney and Lacey, okay? The names, first of all. Cagney to me suggested the one named Cagney would be like, the kind of harder one, see? Like Cagney, like that tough. And then the other one, the other partner, the one named Lacey, that one would be more, look, I'm more of a girl. And that's kind of how the characters were. Tyne Daly played Cagney, and she was kind of like short haircut, and she wore pants. And her partner was Lacey. What was her name? Sharon Glass, I believe. Lacey was Sharon Glass. And she was kind of more doable. That's kind of just how, I wouldn't even say she was sexy or attractive, but she was definitely like the one that would be called Lacey. Tyne Daly having a birthday today. Tyne Daly got name checked on a recent Curb Your Enthusiasm. Did you guys know Curb Your Enthusiasm is back? It is. It's back. And I had to catch up. I watched 3 episodes the other night. Man, that show is still funny. Anyway, Tyne Daly got name checked because Larry is producing a new TV show. It's a hit show too, by the way. In the current story arc of Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry is in charge of a hit TV show called Young Larry. It's like Young Sheldon, but it's Larry. It's Larry as a young man. And it's a hit show on Hulu. Anyway, on the set of the show, Larry keeps getting upset that people sit in his chair. Because, like they have director's chairs and stuff with the name on it. So Larry was getting upset that someone was sitting in his chair. So he went to the prop guy and he said, look, man, is there any way that we can, make sure people don't sit in my chair? And the prop guy told him, well, you can rope it off. He goes, but that's not good. And he goes into this long history of people who have roped off their chairs and how they never worked again. No one will ever work with you if you are so narcissistic that you think that you should rope up. So Larry ropes off his chair anyway. But one of the examples they gave was 1984, Tyne Daly roped off her chair on the set of Cagney and Lacey. No one would ever work with her again. Tyne Daly, happy birthday. Born today in 1946. Also born today in 1946, Anthony Edwards. He's 3CPO. Also born today in 1946. 46, big year for birthdays. Born on this day in 1946, dead in 2016. 2016, 8 years? Alan Rickman. Oh. I love me some Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman. I can't believe he's been dead 8 years. Alan Rickman. Love Actually. You know I love my Love Actually. You know I love that movie. Alan Rickman. Also, what? Harry Potter, right? Isn't that what he's like super famous for? But Love Actually. Alan Rickman. No one played a dick you were willing to put up with better than Alan Rickman. Right? Isn't that how you would describe? He's a dick. He's a condescending, snobby, know-it-all dick, but you put up with him. That was Alan Rickman's magic. Alan Rickman, born on this day in 1946. Born on this day in 1949. How about Jerry Harrison? Jerry Harrison. Tom Tom Club. And, of course, Talking Heads, Jerry Harrison. Born on this day in 1949. Born on this day in 1953, William Peterson. I don't know what William Peterson did. What did William Peterson do? He's awesome. CSI, I know he did CSI, but he was in To Live and Die in L.A. And if you've never seen To Live and Die in L.A., if you were to see it now, you might get to know me a little bit better. That's one of my favorite movies. To Live and Die in L.A. William Peterson, born on this day in 1953. Born on this day in 1955. How about Kelsey Grammer? He likes cocaine and hot chicks. Who doesn't? Born on this day in 1963, William Baldwin. Billy Baldwin, for those of you who are unaware. Billy Baldwin. Billy Baldwin is the Baldwin who didn't kill anybody and who didn't go super religious, right? That's and doesn't have an out-of-control drug problem. Did I just tell you all the Baldwins? Right. You got Alec, he killed somebody. You got Steven. Steven's like crazy religious. He's like skateboard youth pastor guy. He's like weird like that. That's Steven. Then you got Daniel. Daniel's like, I love drugs. That's Daniel. And then there's Billy. And you know how you know Billy? Billy was kind of like that. Billy's the one that's as handsome as Alec that doesn't have the talent. That's it. Alec is handsome and talented. Billy is handsome, not so talented. But Billy Baldwin, celebrating a birthday today, ended up marrying China Phillips from Wilson Phillips. He got the hot one. So who's laughing? I'll tell you who's laughing. All of us, because China Phillips got weird. She's got a crazy, I told you about this. China Phillips has a crazy YouTube channel where she runs a ministry now and she's like all Jesus-y. She's still kind of hot and she's cool. Like she's cool Jesus-y. I don't know. Anyway, it's weird. It's weird. Happy birthday, William Baldwin. I'm sure your wife is praying for you. Born on this day in 1963. Also born on this day in 1963. How about Ranking Roger? Ranking Roger, the beat, the English beat. Was he an English beat or just a beat? I don't know. Ranking Roger, the beat, General Public. If you're a Gen Xer, Ranking Roger, singer. Born on this day in 1979, Jennifer Love Hewitt. We all love Jennifer Love. Born on this day in 1979, Jordan Peele. He's the one, okay, this happens in watching it happen in real time. So throughout the course of entertainment, there have been teams, there have been duos, right? Today's Jordan Peele's birthday. He, of course, famous for Key and Peele. Been duos. And then when those duos get hot, occasionally what'll happen is, one of them will break away and become a much bigger star, and the other one will just kind of be left in obscurity. That's just kind of how it works. Jordan Peele, whose birthday it is today, is not that one. I think Keegan-Michael Key, he's the one that's, showing up in Doritos commercials. Jordan Peele, meanwhile, is like Hollywood's most celebrated new director. So happy birthday to Jordan Peele. I think of Andrew Ridgeley. George Michael wasn't going to be held back. Jordan Peele isn't going to be held back. I wonder if it's weird between them. I've talked about this before whenever Key and Peele come up. Like, is it weird between them? Like when they run into each other, because one is a big, highly respected, well-regarded Hollywood director, which is like apex influence in Hollywood. That's what you want to be. You want to be the director that everyone wants, because that's the boss. The big A, that's Jordan Peele. And then the other guy is like doing guest shots on Abbott Elementary. It's not like hey, how come your career is like so? You gonna be nominated for an Oscar again? Hey, I've got a 2-story arc on Abbott Elementary. Things aren't exactly working out. Anyway, happy birthday to Jordan Peele. Life is good for him. Born on this day in 1979. Born on this day in 1987. Elliot Page. No. What? Huh? You know what I'm going to say? What are the rules here? We are changing as a society. We have new things that must be considered. And I'm going to call a timeout. Elliot Page was not born in 1987. Ellen Page was born in 1987. Isn't that a dead name? I'm so confused. It's only when it's convenient. We've got to work this out. Or we just got to be cool with people going, Elliot Page born on this day, Ellen Page, same thing, right? You got to be cool with that. Elliot Page was born on this day. And if you're unfamiliar, that's because it wasn't Elliot Page who was born. It was Ellen Page. Remember, she was Juno. But now she is living life as a boy, as is her right, and as is all of our expectation to just be okay with it. Just don't be a dick about it. But Elliot Page wasn't born today. Ellen Page was born today. Now who's being a dick about it? I know. I'm stirring the pot just a little bit there. I don't care. I don't really give a shit either way. And here's the thing. Neither do you. But you're going to work yourself up about it. Elliot Page. Canadian actor. This is the other thing. Never mind. Look, it doesn't. I have no comments. Look, I liked Vanya on Umbrella Academy on Prime. I liked it. I love Juno. I don't really have a hot take on Eric Page. What's Elliot Page, the actor? I don't think I have seen Elliot Page act. I have seen the soul that occupies that carcass of humanity. I've seen that soul act as Ellen Page, but I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen Elliot Page. I stopped watching Umbrella Academy when it was explained to me what they were doing with Ellen Page's character. That was not for me. Umbrella Academy is a fun show, and Ellen Page played Vanya, the lead character. She was a girl. She's a violinist, and she's got superhero powers. But then throughout the run of the show, that character of Vanya, the actress, decided, as is her right, to become a man. And they kept her in the show. And I'm like, what? But Vanya's a girl. So can she play Vanya? Can she continue playing Vanya as a girl? And I don't know. I heard that they were just going to turn the Vanya character into a boy. And I'm like, but she's an actress. Just because when she's walking down the street, she is now walking down the street as Elliot Page, doesn't mean that Elliot Page cannot continue to play the female role of Vanya. Huh? I mean, I know it's inconsistent, but this is all fairly new, and we're trying to work it out. I don't know. What are we supposed to be angry about? All I know, it was too complicated. It's a silly superhero show, and I didn't really want to get that intellectually invested in it, so I stopped watching Umbrella Academy. Happy birthday, Elliot Page. Born on this day in 1987. Okay, that's fine. Born on this day in 1996. English actress. Ain't no mistaking this one. Woo! Man, do I love her. There's a picture floating around that it's just like, my God, look at these three. It is Taylor Swift, and it's like her Taylor Swift entourage, but it's really the big three in Taylor Swift's entourage. When she walks in and she's flanked by other people, oftentimes it will be somebody physically very different than Taylor. Now, what I mean by that is she'll walk in with friends, and oftentimes Taylor Swift. Let's set the picture, okay? Taylor Swift is a 6 foot tall, thin, blonde white girl. That's who she is. So when I say she walks in with people against type, so it's like there'll be a brunette. Like everybody else will have dark hair. They're all like smoke show women. Don't get me wrong there, but they're all different types. Man, I saw there's a picture of Taylor Swift, and she is walking with Blake Lively, who is Mrs. Ryan Reynolds, who is like also another one of these 6 foot tall blonde. Oh my God. Very, very same type as Taylor Swift, but also with our birthday girl, who I think is one of the most beautiful women on the planet. I just look at this girl and I go, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner, Blake Lively, and Taylor Swift all walking into a room together. That picture is incredible. That picture is like, whoa. Would you look at that absolutely epic representation of femininity? Look at that. Let's hear it. Sophie Turner, Sansa Stark, man, Game of Thrones. I really like her because when we first saw her on Game of Thrones as Sansa Stark, she was supposed to be like 12 years old, but in reality, she was 18, so it was fine. She was, but whatever. When we first saw her, she was portrayed as a child, as a teen girl, almost a bit of a mean girl, Sansa Stark. But then over the course of the series, she grew into a woman. She grew into a lady. And let me tell you something. I took notice. I think she is gorgeous. I was rooting for her in her divorce battle against Joe Jonas. Remember that? He did her wrong. Anyway, if you get a chance to see that picture of Taylor Swift, Sophie Turner, and Blake Lively all walking in, woo! And them girls could have anything they want. That's power, that's strength, that's attractiveness. Checks all the boxes there. All right, there you go. That's going to do it. Those are birthdays. Let's talk about the deads, huh? Let's move on. Quarter 4. These are the dead people who have died on this day. I'm going to warn you before we get into this. Some of these are very difficult ones because of who I am and because of certain things. Like the first one. All right, so on this day in 1965, Malcolm X died. American minister and activist. Now look at me, middle-aged white guy here. Now I got to play this silly game where we open up someone's life resume and we determine whether or not they go to heaven or hell. There is some degree of white guilt looming over whatever my decision is here on where we're putting Malcolm X, if I'm being honest. But he's got to go to hell, right? Malcolm X has got to go to hell. How does he not? He was a bad guy. I saw the Spike guy. Well, he was well-intended, and you can turn yourself around. But when you looked, crimes, and he was a con man, and he hurt people, and how do I get past that? All right, Malcolm X, we're moving on. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to move on. An important man, but I don't know. But he was kind of a bad guy. Although, man, I love The Godfather of Harlem and the way they're portraying Malcolm X. That guy I might put into heaven. But I think the Denzel Washington Malcolm X, I think that guy goes to hell. I think that was the whole point of the movie. Reclamation of your spirit. Malcolm X was a bad guy. Spike Lee made that movie. I shouldn't feel this guilty. All right, Malcolm X, there you go. I've decided he's going to hell. I think the version of Malcolm X that is depicted in The Godfather of Harlem, which is an epic show, I think that depiction might be a bit revisionist. He's kind of like Gandhi in that. Well, I don't think that was the case, really, because times were hard and people did things and greater good and all that. Whatever. Malcolm X, dead on this day in 1965. We'll put him in hell because I just know that he did some bad things. All right, moving on. How about... Excuse me. Dead on this day in 1974, Canadian icon, for sure. I've got to be honest. I've been to the place that bears his name, and I'm like, it's fine. Why is this place supposed to be great? Ladies and gentlemen, dead on this day. Is he going to heaven or hell? Dead on this day in 74, Tim Horton. You know who Tim Horton is? Tim Horton was a Canadian hockey player. He played the ice hockey up there. And, that's akin to being like a movie star in America. You play ice hockey in Canada. That's like they're the biggest thing there. And I don't know that he was necessarily all that well known outside of Canada, but he parlayed his fame in Canada to open in donut shops. And now there's like 1 million Tim Hortons donut shops all over. They're like the biggest purveyor of donuts north of the Great Lakes. I've had Tim Hortons donuts, and people from Canada is like, "Oh, you gotta go to Tim Hortons, eh?" And I gotta be honest, it's a donut. Even the worst donut is probably going to be good, but it's just donuts. Where are we putting Tim Horton? Hockey player turned donut king. We'll put him in heaven. How are you going to put Malcolm X in hell? Because I don't know anything about Tim Horton other than he made donuts, and donuts make people happy, and that's all I got to go on. So Tim Horton's going to heaven. And also because there's people coming up who I got to put in hell. Dead on this day in 2018, Billy Graham, mega preacher Billy Graham. He's from Wheaton, Illinois. I know that. Is Billy Graham like Jimmy Swaggart and those guys, or is he kind of different and better? I don't know, but I'm putting him in hell. That's right. You got to. Anybody who proselytizes, they go to hell. He was a proselytizer. Billy Graham, dead on this day in 2018. Dead on this day in 29. Look, it's only fair I put Malcolm X in hell. I got to put Billy Graham in hell. I wasn't going to put one in it. Come on. And then honestly, all things being equal, they both, I think, they should go to hell. That's where I put them. Dead on this day in 2019. We talked about him the other day. It was his birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm putting him in heaven. Peter Tork of the Monkite guys. Hey, isn't that crazy? Oh no, was he dead already? Because remember, we already mentioned the monkeys today. It was Rafelson. Forgot his name. Bob Rafelson. It was Bob Rafelson's birthday, right? He was the creator of the Monkees, and now we got Peter Tork dying on Bob Rafelson, creator of the Monkees. Dad, look at that. Peter Tork going to heaven. All right, there you have it. That's going to do it. That's quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. Now let's move into all the things that are happening today. I will remind you one more time, drop a little something in the tip jar, keep this show going. I've been doing that for 2.5 years. All right. I need a drink. What's going on in the chat room here? Let me see what's happening in the chat room. Once again, join me at 4:30 this afternoon. I'll be on with James Parker, doing an entertainment report. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's not a whole lot of entertainment stuff to be reporting on, at least not by today's. I put the whole show together. There was nothing like really big in the entertainment world that stuck out. All right, let's get into what's happening today, trending and the whatnot. Putin. So Putin sanctions. That's right. We're going to. The Biden administration has said that we're going to sanction Putin for the Navalny murder, which again, another one of these situations where everybody knows what happened. So we're going to sanctions. We're going to do sanctions. Here's my question. Why are there any sanctions left? I thought we've been pretty routinely over the course of the last 2 years, certainly since the outbreak of the war in the Ukraine, we've been sanctioning. Remember when we were stealing rich Russian guys' yachts and stuff? We've been sanctioning. What else is there to do? And I'm not calling for some other action. I am honestly wondering, at this point, short of dropping a nuke on the Kremlin, what else is there to do? But okay, you're going to do some sanctioning. Very good. Condemn them publicly. Very good. I don't think shaming Vladimir Putin is the way to get to world peace, but okay. Guy's a monster. A bullet in the head. A SEAL team. They'd let him in. I'm telling you, you think that would start? No way. There's a lot of people that want him gone. We send in a covert SEAL team. We drop them in from our space stuff. I don't know what we have. I don't know what the realities of our military capabilities are, but I see movies. Get Tom Cruise, Ethan Coen guy. Is that his name? Ethan Coen? He's not Jewish, is he? Is Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible character a Jewish guy? Named Ethan Coen. Sounds more like a dentist. Then I don't know. We're moving on. Also, we got news here. The Kansas City shooting. I was looking for information today about the dead people in the backyard. Remember that, the Kansas City fans who went and watched the game and a bunch of them ended up dead. And then the dude who hosted the game watching party just went to sleep for 3 days. And then they're like, hey, your friends are all dead in your yard. And he's like, what? That story. There's no information on that story. I have been trying to track that story to find anything new, anything about Jordan Willis, who is the guy who owns the house. There are no charges. Everybody did drugs. They found, the toxicology said they were all on drugs. No charge. There's nothing. And every time you try and get some information about it, and every day I do, now I'm just overwhelmed with the other bit of, mayhem that was occurring in Kansas City. Now everything is about the shooting, the parade shooting. So we've got some information on that. 2 men have been charged with murder in the deadly shooting at a Kansas City Super Bowl celebration. It says here 2 men have been charged with murder in last week's shooting after the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Missouri prosecutors said in a news conference that Lindell Mays of Raytown, Missouri, and Dominic Miller of Kansas City, Missouri, have been charged with second-degree murder and several weapons counts in the shooting that left 1 person dead and roughly 24 others injured. All right, so let me tell you about these 2. 18 and 21, I think that's the ages. So we're getting their names. Remember, 3 people were detained in the aftermath of this. 1 was let go, and 2 people are now charged. So of the 3 that were detained, 2 are charged. 1 has been let go. Incidentally, the one who has been let go, the minor who has been let go, is the one who we saw get tackled. Remember, we saw the video of the fans chasing down one guy and tackling him and holding him down and all that stuff. Yeah, that guy's involved. I don't know what his deal is, but he was let go. He's a minor and he was let go. Now, the 2 guys that have been charged, we didn't see them. We didn't see them as the shooters immediately because you see in the aftermath of this incident, they were 2 of the victims. The 2 people who are charged shot each other at almost point blank range. They were 2 of the victims that were found when they sorted all of this out. So they didn't run anywhere. The 3rd guy, the one that we saw getting tackled, that's the guy who ran away, and they ended up letting him go because apparently he's a juvenile. And I don't know if he had a gun or not. I don't know what his deal is. Well, developing ... So what ended up happening, what police are saying happening, and basically corroborating all the people, the witnesses that were there, this was 2 groups of, and let me echo the governor of Missouri when I say 2 groups of thugs, okay? A thug is somebody who behaves exactly like this, okay? Are we just trying to ban words now because your delicate soul doesn't like that there might be some other connotations used by people with ulterior motives? Okay, shut up. This is not racial. A thug is a thug. I've called the people at Charlottesville thugs. I've called people at January 6th thugs. Stop it. The Missouri governor is like being forced to apologize for calling these kids thugs. This is what thugs are. Thugs are a thing. It doesn't mean that all black men under the age of 18 fall into this category. My God, now who's being racist? You are. No, we are saying that in this specific instance, these were a bunch of gang-banging thugs. It's what they are. I shouldn't say that. It's what they are. They have arrest records with gang affiliations going back 10 years. It's what they are. Deal with it. Anyway, it happened exactly the way that I described it when we were watching it unfold here on the air. It was 2 groups, whether they know each other from outside, whatever, who knows. 2 groups of teenagers strapped like old West cowboys in a saloon. All of them come together at the same point of the parade, and one of them, the shooter, the guy who drew and shot first. Why did he draw and shoot first? This is what he told detectives. Because the other guy looked at him funny. Crowd of people. And he said he would have shot earlier, but he realized that there were a lot of innocent people standing around him. So he didn't shoot earlier. He shot. He eventually got over that concern and just opened fire, which caused the other person to open fire, which caused the 3rd guy to draw his gun, and that guy ran away. So there you go. That's the update. 2 have been charged. Dominic Miller and this other guy, Lindell Mays. Gangbangers. Just shoot. Put them what? Cut human veal. I don't believe in the death penalty, but I do believe in turning humans into human veal. Put them in a box. Come on. They're over 18. Sorry. This is why you got to be better when you're over 18, because when you're over 18 and you do something that maybe would have gotten you a slap on the wrist at 16, Now you get to be human veal because you brought a gun to a civic celebration and then drew it and used it offensively. I am sorry, but there are just not enough boxes on this form to accommodate all of the violations that you have done. This is a civilized society. You're gone. We are removing you from civilized society. Human veal, put them in a box, feed them, take them out for walks, but that's it. I don't even think it's fair that a 16-year-old gets slapped on the wrist. I don't know why this third person was let go when he was obviously involved in the shooting. How is he out? He's out. He was let go. It's not like he was remanded to juvenile custody or anything. He's out. He's walking around. Yeah. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Hey, James Biden is in front of a GOP investigative. Try and say that really fast. Investigative. James Biden. Can we just say who's James Biden? I have no idea who is this guy. All of a sudden, he's all over my news this morning, and it's weird because he kind of looks like Joe Biden, but I'd vote for James Biden. James Biden looks far more healthier than Joe Biden. James Biden looks downright spry. I don't know who he is. But apparently, he's in front of Congress, and I'm sure they're being very kind to him, very respectful. James Biden. You know he's got to be normal to some degree, because if he weren't, he'd be the Billy Carter and Roger Clinton. They love to make Democratic presidential siblings out to be jokes, especially punchlines if they can. Billy Carter made it easy. Roger Clinton made it really easy. I'm surprised Obama didn't have some great. Anyway, this guy, if this guy was like, a complete, I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him before. But because I've never heard of him before, that tells me that there's probably not a whole lot to judge up on him. But he's in front of Congress. They're trying to find something that has everything to do with the Alexander Smirnoff business. And if you know about the Alexander Smirnoff business, go elsewhere. I'm not going to break down this nonsense. James Biden. That's what I thought. James Biden. Who is James Biden? Who else he got? Doesn't he got a sister? I think he's got a sister. I think I know about a sister, right? Biden's got some sister that he's really close to. I don't know who James Biden is. How many kids does he have? He got Bo. Bo's the one that's like, right? And then there's Hunter. Hunter's the exact opposite of Bo. Hunter, you can do anything to. Bo, the memory of Bo Biden. That's sacrosanct. You can't, I don't know. I don't know enough about Biden's family, which tells me that they're probably not a bunch of dick tripping fuck ups. They're probably not a real embarrassing clan of people, because if they were embarrassing, like if they had missed a tax payment or if they'd had a car repoed, we'd hear all of these stories. They run with all of that stuff, politically speaking. All right, Frank. Frank posted up. I mentioned Joe Biden, so Frank posted up. Now I know Frank's going to get political here. I haven't read what he's going to say, but I can promise you, because Frank is so geared towards politics first on everything, which is an awful way to live. Frank says, "Weird how we never hear about Joe Biden having siblings and his children and grandchildren not named Hunter." Oh, that wasn't bad. That's actually just echoing what I said. All right, thank you. Yeah. It is. It's not weird when you consider that the only reason you would have heard about these extended family members of a president is when they embarrass the president. That's the only time we hear about them. It's the only time they become a thing is when they were fodder for the opposition. When the opposition can point to a president's, brother who got another DUI, they can go, look at this, the kind of family he comes from. It's all just political nonsense. But the fact that we've not heard all of this about Biden's brothers and sisters, and we know that he's got them, it means that they must just kind of be normal people. It doesn't mean they're good people. It just means they're normal people. It just means that they don't have a bunch of embarrassing things. Hunter Biden, woo! Now, I guess maybe that's it. Maybe it's just a case with Biden of look no further. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just got to Hunter and went, we got a treasure trove of shit that we can exploit on this clown show for the next 4 years if we need to. Do we even need to look at the brother? Well, today they're looking at the brother. Frank says, I like sports more. I would rather talk about the pitcher free agents in MLB. Me too, Frank. Me too. All right, moving on. Dominion, the vote company where they're suing everybody. Then they make like $100 trillion from Fox News, and Fox News is going to go out of business. Meanwhile, we're a year later and it's like, no, nothing's changed. Fox News is the same. Oh, this is going to be it for Fox News. Remember everybody was saying that? Yeah, it didn't exactly work out. Still early though, I guess. The same cannot be said for Newsmax, who is now Newsmax is that fly-by-night sketchy ass cable news thing that just popped. It's not even cable news. It's like phone news. It's like internet delivered news, but it's real sketchy ass, and it's certainly not even attempting to be any kind of information. You know, it's not trying to be unbiased. It is specifically for a target demographic of news consumers. And that's fine. That's what we're doing now. Okay. All right. Anyway, Newsmax is also now in the crosshairs of Dominion. Dominion is suing Newsmax. And the way I say this is different than Fox News. It's because Fox News is a part of News Corp. Fox News is a part of a massive, and Fox News, didn't they sell the TV stuff? Like Fox News, if Fox News needs to come up with like $10 billion, they can do it. They can sell something. They can sell, movie studios or whatever. I don't think Newsmax can do that. So Newsmax is now getting, attacked. I dare say that Newsmax is being attacked. Newsmax is having to defend itself against charges from Dominion, which are very similar to the charges that Fox News very famously lost in court. So a big thing has occurred with the discovery phase of the Dominion versus Newsmax trial. A judge has granted Dominion and Dominion attorneys access to Newsmax journalists' emails and text records, which by the way, because I thought the same thing. Well, Greg Gutfield, or when it's not Fox News, who's the guy? Eric Bolling. He's got to do is now just delete his text, right? No. He got access to I don't know. Anyway, it was explained to me that no, this is not just a thing where you can just delete your texts. They're gonna get them all. So that'll be interesting because we got an interesting slew of texts from the Fox people. Remember those? Those were all of the Fox people during the election, during the Stop the Steal campaign that was going on. All of the messages, the private messages between the Hannitys and the Tuckers and the Ingrams, all of those private messages that were going on behind the scenes, messages like this isn't true and blah blah blah, all basically denying in real life all of the things that they were saying on the air. That was the embarrassment that Fox faced, and everybody said that would be the end of all of these people, but apparently it wasn't. apparently everybody just went, nah, so what? So what? I like what they're saying when they're lying to us. News. There is no new news media that you can trust. You can trust me, a fat middle-aged narcissist who just watches it all and calls bullshit on all of it. Anyway, it'll be fun. So we're looking forward to all of these crazy Newsmax texts to be released because I'm sure they're going to be funny as hell. Off the charts nuts. See, but I don't know, like, do they legitimately hire crazy people at Newsmax? So will their behind the scenes rants to one another, will it match their on the air rants? See, that was the problem with Fox. What the Fox people were saying behind the scenes didn't match what they were preaching on camera. I think Newsmax is going to be fun because I think these people are going to be all in. I think they're going to be like totally true believers, Kool-Aid drinkers, if you will. That's coming. ... Food prices are trending today. This is something I like to stay on top of. Every month they release the job numbers and the gross domestic product numbers. And I tell you, don't pay attention to that garbage. That shit doesn't affect you. The stuff that affects us is the everyday stuff. Food prices. Today we got a big report on food prices in the United States. That's the only true indicator. Food and gas. That's it. What am I paying at the pump? And what am I paying at the grocery store? Those are the two things I believe that affect the middle class, the average working American. That's what we need to be concerned with. Keep those prices low and you'll win re-election. That's pretty much it. You get us $1.20 gas and $1 for a carton of eggs. Come on, man. You'll get reelected. That's what affects us directly. You can talk all about, jobless rates and all of that. And those things in the 30,000 foot, right? In the existential, really, those things do have a major impact, but not in our everyday life. So let's stop patting ourselves on our back because our guy got the stock market to this much. That doesn't really affect us. Food prices affect us. And we've got some bad news because the last time that America spent this much of their money on food, George H.W. Bush was in the White House. Terminator 2 Judgment Day was in theaters, and CNC Music Factory was rocking the Billboard charts at number 1. The last time that the average American used as much of their pay on food was 30-something years ago. 30-something years ago. That's how high it is now. It was bad back then. Now it's there. Everything. Don't tell me about jobs. Don't tell me about the stock market. Don't tell me about the Magnificent Seven being larger in economic power than every nation on earth. Don't tell me about that. Tell me about how much am I paying for a carton of milk. The last time Americans spent this much time on this much of their money on food, H.W. Bush was president. Terminator 2 Judgment Day was in theaters, and CNC Music Factory was rocking the Billboard charts. Eating continues to cost more, even as overall inflation has eased. It's the overall inflation. I'm so happy about the gross domestic product I'm glad you got that back on track. Still can't afford name brand soda pop, but okay. Eating continues to cost more, even as overall inflation has eased from the blistering pace consumers endured throughout much of 2022 and 2023. Prices at restaurants and other eateries were up 5.1% last month compared with January of 2023, while grocery costs increased 1.2% during the same period. In 1991, U.S. consumers spent 11.4% of their disposable personal income on food, according to data from the U.S. Agriculture Department. At the time, households were still dealing with steep food price increases following an inflammatory period during the 1970s. More than 3 decades later, food spending has reattained that level. USDA data says that in 2022, consumers spent 11.3% of their disposable income on food, according to the most recent USDA data. So 11.4% in 1991, and we're up to 11.3% now. That's not good. That's not good. We're spending way too much. It's costing us way too much of what we earn just to feed ourselves, and it doesn't need to be that way. How do we know? Because we had 30 years in between where it wasn't that way. But again, keep telling me about how powerful and how successful big tech is. Keep telling me about how the stock market has never been better and that the American economy is roaring and outpacing the rest of the globe, which all may be true, but it doesn't affect you and me. That's not what you and I need to hear. Moving on. We got a bad passenger here. Another bad passenger update. Somebody was flying from, Albuquerque to Chicago last night on an American Airlines flight, and they decided 30 minutes after takeoff to open up a door. Yeah, this has happened a couple of times now. Well, actually, the most recent incident was the door that just opened on its own. But this guy, let's find out who this dude is. He just had a bad moment on an airplane and decided that he was going to get out. Now, I don't know if he opened up the door or if he's being charged with trying to open up the door, because I believe it's worded in the story that he attempted to open up a door while in flight. But then other people, a witness said, like somebody tweeted, a dude just opened up a door. So I don't know if the door actually got opened. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if we can. Can you close it? I guess you can, right? Chaos erupted on an American Airlines flight as it was headed from Albuquerque to Chicago on Tuesday evening. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's right. This is a newspaper for stupid people. So it's all gigantic pictures and then only 2 sentences of text because stupid people don't want to read. Footage obtained by Fox News. Ugh. Jesus. Footage obtained by Fox News showed the passenger on the floor of the plane with his feet duct taped after what airline described as a disturbance in the air. A second video on social media showed police escorting a man off the plane after it returned to Albuquerque for an emergency landing. Multiple passengers on board the plane described the shocking situation. Let's see here. Donnie Does World said he was sleeping in his seat when he was stirred awake by a man trying to aggressively open the airplane door 4 rows back. Yeah, you don't want to be woken up to that. Let's see. It says, me and 5 other dudes had to wrestle him to the aisle, duct tape his legs, and throw flexi cuffs around him. Another traveler, Lazy, described the ordeal as one of the scariest days of her life. She said, flying back home from ABQ, and we've been in the air for about 30 minutes, and a huge gush of wind comes out of nowhere, she wrote in her post. This guy opened the emergency exit door. People were tackling him down, and we put him in zip ties. All right, see, so this lady is literally describing the gush of air she experienced when the window opened. She is claiming that the door opened. Nobody else is claiming that the door opened. I think Lady Z is a bit of a hyperbolic sort, wouldn't you think? American Airlines told the U.S. Sun Flight 1219 with service from Albuquerque to Chicago returned to ABQ shortly after takeoff due to a disturbance in the cabin involving a disruptive customer. The flight landed safely and the aircraft was met by local law enforcement. Further information about the situation and any possible charges was not immediately available. Let's see. We contacted the Albuquerque police for more information about the mid-air emergency. Users on X praised the passengers who jumped into action. That's the American heroic action that I know and love. People still care for one another, one person wrote on X. Thank you for your service, said an, oh, stop it. Thank you for your service. Oh, stop it. All right, there you have it. Somebody tried. I don't know. I don't know if they got it open. One person says he got it open, but that person could be a liar trying to get clicks. Picture it didn't happen. That's what I would have said. If I had read that tweet, someone just opened, I'd be like, show a picture. It didn't happen. You're just lying. Ruby Frank is in the news. Am I saying this right? Ruby Frank? Do you guys know who Ruby Frank is? Are you following this? I don't know who this is. I've been seeing her name for months, and I'm just like, ugh. This seems like something that I don't need to be involved in. This sounds like something that would be like a whole week of specials on the Investigative Journal channel or something, something stupid. Ruby Frank is a YouTuber. She was a popular YouTuber, millions and millions of followers. She's a Mormon. She's a Mormon mom YouTuber. Is she hot? She's probably hot. I don't know. At least she probably was on YouTube. She gived the parental advice. She gave mom advice. She's like, I'm a mom. I'm a Mormon mom in Utah, and here's how I'm the greatest mom ever. And she got like millions and millions of views, and she was popular, and she turned it into a cottage industry, and she started making that money, honey. Just like all of us aspiring YouTubers are want to do. And she became sort of a polarizing figure in the mommy expertise genre because she, often in a lot of her videos, she came across as nuts. She came across as kind of a bitch, kind of a bad mom, she believed, the spare the rod, spoil the child, that whole thing. So she had no problem like beating the shit out of her kids. And well, we made her a star because, Anyway, she went down and one of her kids that she's like, oh, little Joshua or whatever, her YouTubes. I'm just pretending what her YouTube vibe must have been like. I don't know if she's got any YouTube videos anymore. I think they might have taken them down. It's like, young Joshua really got into it last night. So at some point, young Joshua, and that's not even his name. I'm just giving you an example of what the vibe was. So like one of her kids escaped the house, which in and of itself is weird. It's like, what do you mean you have to escape your house? He's like, yeah, I was boarded into my room. So she's YouTubing, and young Joshua, he's boarded into his room. He escapes the house. He runs to a neighbor, tells the neighbor, my mom is crazy. She's got a YouTube channel, and he just told all this stuff. The police were called. She got arrested, blah, blah, blah. She's been on trial. YouTube mom. So now she's in the news because apparently she's sowy. She's sour. She doesn't know how it got so crazy. Some of the things in this trial that she did to her kids, just crazy. Do you remember like Mommy Dearest? Like real, not like worse than Mommy Dearest stuff, worse than like Sybil. You remember the Sally Field movie Sybil from the 70s? Her mom was pretty brutal. It says here, YouTube mom Ruby Frank apologizes at sentencing in child abuse case. Ruby Frank, a Utah mother of 6. Oh, that's what her vibe was. She's like, 6 kids and counting. Look at me. My vagina's a water slide. I've got like 6 kids. 6 kids. And I'm crazy. Life must be crazy with 6 kids. How do I manage? Stay tuned in this video. You know, that's what she is. She's one of these people. Ruby Frank, a Utah mother of 6 who gave parenting advice to millions via a once popular YouTube channel, shared a tearful apology to her children for physically and emotionally abusing them before a judge delivered a sentence that could put her in prison for years, if not decades. Frankie also claimed that she had been manipulated by her fellow YouTuber and business partner. Yeah, her and her business partner, some psychologist, some crazy local, like she's a psychologist who works for the state or did work for the state. They kind of teamed up. And it turns out this psychologist is like really nuts. Like if the Nazis had a child psychologist, it would be like this woman. Frankie told the judge that she would not argue for a shorter sentence before she stood to thank local police officers, doctors, and social workers for being the angels who saved her children from her at a time when she says she was under the influence of her business partner, Jody Hildebrand. The Utah mental health counselor who had been hired to work with Frankie's youngest son before going into business with her. That's a problem. The state is like, yeah, you need this person from the state has to come and hang out with your kid. And then like that person from the state starts hanging out with the kid and goes, oh my God, you're a big YouTuber. That's an idea. And then the state worker's like, we should team up. Let's see here. Frankie told the judge that she would not argue for a shorter sentence because she didn't want to spare the kids. The women together will only serve up to 30 years in prison due to the Utah state law that caps a sentence on duration for consecutive penalties. Okay, so they got a whole bunch of different counts. They pled guilty to a whole bunch of different counts, and they're only going to do like 30 years each max. I'll never stop crying for hurting your tender souls, Frankie said to her children, who were not present at the sentencing. No, she ain't never going to see them again. My willingness to sacrifice all for you was masterfully manipulated into something very ugly. You are not the victim. This is what she's telling her kids at her sentencing. My willingness to sacrifice all for you. It's not on the kids, you bitch. Leave your kids' mouths out of your mouths. I don't know. Frankie, 42, and Hildebrand, 54, had each pled guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse for trying to convince Frankie's 2 youngest children that they were evil, possessed, and needed to be punished to repent. The women were arrested at Hildebrand's house in the southern Utah city of Ivins last August after Frankie's 12-year-old son escaped through a window and asked a neighbor to call police. The boy was thin, covered in wounds, and had duct tape around his ankles and wrists. He told investigators that Hildebrand had put ropes on his limbs and used cayenne pepper and honey to dress his cuts. All right, she's going to jail. She hadn't been sentenced yet, but she's like, I'm so sorry. Monsters, man. Monsters. She wanted to be famous. She's like, I'm going to become famous on YouTube. And she's a monster. Yeah, well. Depression implants. Did you see this story? This is trending everywhere. Apparently, there's a breakthrough in how they're going to treat depression. And what they're going to do is they're going to cut your brain open and they're going to put a bunch of jumper cables in there. And then, you're going to be fixed. Yay! The end of depression as we know it. No, thank you. So the FDA is being petitioned to, is it Abbott Laboratories? They've created a machine that they say will provide effective depression treatments for people who are suffering from severe depression. It's basically, they're going to send electrodes through your brain to make you happy. Now, these kinds of studies have been done in the past, and they have basically given inconclusive results. They're like, yeah, we don't know if this does anything. But somehow a pharmaceutical company, is it Abbott Labs? It might be, have figured out a new con, and they're going to try and get this approved. And then a whole bunch of desperate people who are tired of living in pain and under the shadow of depression every day of their life, a bunch of desperate people are going to go get preyed upon, and the insurance companies will probably cover it. So there's money, and the doctors will get the money, and the pharmaceutical get the money, and the people with depression will not be served at all. I don't know. I have actually over the years, I know about this. I know about the idea of, like, shocking the brain of if for people specifically with depression. Like, look, they used to do this shock therapy for other things, schizophrenia and all that stuff. But the study of the brain, the study of all that stuff, we don't know anything about it. And my point would also be this. If this does get approved by the FDA, I don't care how blue I am. I can deal with it using the old school methods that I have perfected over the course of my life. I am not going to be first generation to let you hook up a car battery to my brain. I don't think so. For 50 years from now, if this is an accepted treatment that has been done for 50 years, then maybe I'll check it out. But I am not going to be one of the first people in line to get this new depression treatment, depression implants. Put little chips in your head, and then what are you walking around? What do you got, a remote control? Boop. Whenever you need a little hit, boop. I'm feeling, oh, look, that puppy has a limp. Oh, boop. And then, is that how it works? I don't know. I could read the story, but where's the fun in that? Let's move on. Youth football. Youth football is being discussed. Brain risks and youth football. Oh, isn't this cute? People trying to ban youth football. Oh, it's dangerous for these children. Yeah. You know what? It's dangerous being children. I'm just going to put that out there. Really? It's 2024. We've seen school shootings. We've seen mall shootings, deadly car accidents, viruses going around. I'm going to deny my son and me the joy of community football, youth football. Stop it. Look, if you don't want your kid, there's always been this. There's always been this throughout time, right? I was this kid. I was the only kid in my neighborhood that wasn't allowed to have a skateboard. Everybody had a skateboard. I've never owned a skateboard. My mom would never let me have a skateboard because she worked in an emergency room. Apparently she saw too much, and so now I have no skateboard experience because my mom wouldn't let me have a skateboard. So fine, I survived that. If you're a parent today and you don't want your child to play tackle football, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead. Plenty of kids, not all kids play tackle football. I play baseball or whatever it is. Maybe they're not into sports. That's fine. But don't take it away from the parents and the families and the people in the communities who are totally okay and completely understand the risk. My God, I played football since I was in 3rd grade. You know how many injuries I've had? But twisted ankles, broken ribs, broken fingers. I mean, that's life, man. When you're a little boy, that's kind of life, man. You got to have these things. Camaraderie. I don't know. I just think tackle football is very important. And I do understand the risks. And I think it's perfectly fine if parents don't want their children to play tackle football. My kid will play tackle football as long as he wants to play tackle football. Tackle football offers children as young as 5 the chance to make friends, learn teamwork, maybe attract a college scholarship. But growing research shows it also can cause injuries that damage developing brains. So does a bullet wound. But we don't seem all that obsessed about cutting that one off at the pass. No, we're gonna focus on football because it's all about protecting the kids. Many are opting out, parents. Participation in youth tackle football has been declining for years, but especially in communities of color, tackle football's lure remains strong and balance tips towards opportunity. A 4-year investigation by Shirley Povich Center for Youth Journalism and the Howard Center for Investigative Journalism at the University of Maryland has found. So what they found was Tackle football, community tackle football, is in a severe decline everywhere in America except for in the Black community. Because within the Black community, as this study found, they still see it as an opportunity. Whereas in the more pampered, suburban, non-Black American community, they see it as a luxury, as something like, well, he's not going to go pro. Why should we worry about him, taking a head knock at 15 that he otherwise doesn't need? I get that. Let's see here. Black parents are more likely than white parents by substantial margins to believe that youth tackle football could lead to a college scholarship or an NFL career. Hispanic parents are also far more likely than white parents to see college scholarships and pro careers as a potential benefit of youth football. Nearly 1 in 4 Black parents said the appropriate age for children to start playing tackle football is 9 years old or younger. I think that's how old I was. Only 14% of white parents said children should start at age 9 or younger. Really? 14% of white parents think that a kid playing football at 9 is okay? Only 14 think it's okay. Nearly one in four Black parents said the appropriate age was 9, and only 4. So 25%. So let's break that down. 25% of Black parents say a kid should start playing football at 9, and only 14% of white parents say that they should start at 9. Let's see. What other details do we have here? Medical studies over the years have linked head trauma suffered by NFL players to a brain condition called chronic traumatic encephalopathy. CTE. Last year, the study notes that children who start playing tackle football. Okay, never mind. Anyway, that's why tackle football is in the news. There's a big Wall Street Journal story about how tackle football is on the decline in the white communities. Lab-grown nuts. Yeah, did you see this story? They're growing testicles in a lab now, and this is actually it's a man's world. Let's score one more for the patriarchy. So they figured out a way when a dude is shooting blanks. Like, apparently it says 1 in 8 dudes are shooting blanks. So dudes who shoot blanks, 1 in 8 dudes shoot blanks. So if you're a dude who's shooting blanks, they basically fixed it. They addressed the problem for the dudes first. And it's simple. They're just going to grow you some balls in a lab. They're going to grow you some different balls. They're going to grow you new balls. Your balls do not work, sir. I don't know what the attachment process is going to be like or whatever, but they've successfully grown testicles in a lab, and they think that this could radically change the lives of a lot of men who just think that they're basically shooting blanks. Here's the story. It's a fun story because it involves growing testicles in a lab. How could that not be fun? Scientists have successfully grown working testicles in a dish that could one day help solve male infertility, which affects 1 in 12 men nationwide. Did I say 1 in 8? All right, 1 in 12 is better. 1 in 12 men worldwide. Researchers at Bar Ilan University in Israel produced tiny organoids. What? Isn't that crazy? They had time to still be working on stuff like this in Israel. There's like all out hell going on in Israel. Is it? Or is that just Gaza? I think that's Gaza. I think Israel's pretty much business as usual. They're growing testicles in a lab in Israel. Researchers at Bar Ilan University in Israel produced tiny organoids, artificial miniature organs that closely mimic the structure and function of natural testicles. These lab-grown organs, cultured from cells sampled from mouse testes, form small tubules that parallel the sperm-producing seminiferous Okay, I can't. What are we doing here? What am I reading? What am I reading from a medical journal, or is this a Yahoo story? It's a Yahoo story that appears to have been copy and pasted from a medical journal. Here's your takeaway. They're growing balls in a lab. There you go. That's your takeaway. Do I want to do this story? This is a dark story. That was a fun story. It's a fun story when you're growing balls in a lab. This one I don't like. This is a crazy story. So a dude who runs a Taekwondo academy in Sydney, Australia, murdered an entire family, but he started with the kid. So this dude, Master Kook or something, I don't know, I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to tell you the story. This comes out of Sydney, Australia. This dude runs a Taekwondo academy. He's got a 7-year-old student, and he's teaching the 7-year-old student. And out of nowhere, he snaps the student's neck. He just kills the kid, and the mom was there, and the mom saw him do it. So then he walked over and he snapped the mom's neck. This is like just going on, just a Tuesday night. I got to pick the kid up from karate. Like, this is what goes on. You walk in, he snaps the kid's neck. He walks over to you, he snaps your neck. Why? Because he's Master Kim or whatever. He knows what he's doing. Then you know what he did? Then he gets in his car. No, excuse me, scratch that. He gets in her car. He steals her car. The woman he just killed, the child, the 7-year-old that he just killed. He gets in her car, drives to her house, walks in her front door, and then murders the father. What is going on here? The dad was just like probably sitting there watching TV. And also, hey, honey, you back from karate? And it's crazy. All right, maybe I should read the story. This story's crazy. And then the cops are like, yeah, we don't know. We have absolutely no motive here. There's not like we don't think there's any kind of a romantic thing. Like, it's the first thing I thought. I thought, oh my God, we got a crazy love triangle here. Taekwondo instructor killed his 7-year-old student and the boy's parents, according to Sydney police. A Taekwondo instructor killed a 7-year-old student at his academy and the boy's parents before going to a Sydney hospital with stab wounds and slash wounds on his body. That's right. That's the part I missed. So after he kills the dad, remember, he's giving the 7-year-old a lesson. Mom shows up. He snaps the kid's neck in front of mom. Then he kills mom. Then he takes mom's car. He gets in the car. He drives to their house, kicks in the door, murders dad, then gets in the car again, drives to the hospital and says that he was attacked by a knife because apparently dad put up a fight. Apparently dad died, but dad sent him to the hospital. Let's see here. Kwang Kyung Yu, owner of The Lions Taekwondo and Martial Arts Academy, and known to his students as Master Lion, will eventually be charged with 3 counts of murder. The crimes were discovered after the instructor admitted himself to a hospital on Monday night, suffering stab wounds and slash wounds to his chest, stomach, and arms. Doherty said, he said the man told police that he'd been attacked in a supermarket. Police alleged that Yu killed Min Chu, 41, and her son at his academy after class on Monday night before driving to their home where he killed Chu's husband, the boy's father, Stephen Chu, 39. Police did not, this is, man, I want to know though, right? Like I need to know because I need to know some context. Like, whoa, they were in business together. He lost his, like, that's context. It's not an excuse, but as a human being, I can go, okay, now I see why he lost his nut and went crazy. Because he's probably under a lot of stress. Again, not an excuse, but it provides context to the whole thing. There is no context to this. There is just, okay, this class is over. Come here, snaps his neck, walks up to the mom, snaps her neck, gets in the car, drives, kicks in the door, kills dad. What? Weird story. All right. Here's another one here. We've got a dead. We got somebody who died. We got a celebrity who died. And this is not even a celebrity. But, man, when I saw that this person died, I thought to myself, I went, oh, no. Like, I felt bad. I was like, oh, that dude. Oh, I know that dude. I haven't thought of that dude in 50 years, 40 years, 35 years. But, man, he was like a thing. He's like, there are these people when you're growing up, right? You watch a lot of stuff, and then as you get older, the people you watched when you were littler, they're not around anymore. They don't like get much work, so you just forget about them. Sandy Duncan is a good example of that. Like, Sandy Duncan was huge. I don't know what the hell ever happened to Sandy Duncan. Well, one of these people died, and you're not going to know his name because I didn't know his name. You know his characters. Like, he played 2 characters, and I'm like, oh, man, he's a Gen X icon. Ladies and gentlemen, dead at the age of 64, Tony Ganios. Tony, I don't even know the name, but we're going to show you. He's not even necessarily a that guy actor because I think he's only done like 2 movies. In one of these movies, I swear I thought he was the star. I thought he was like a big movie. Like that dude's going to be a big movie star. And then absolutely nothing. So dude's name is Tony Ging. Can't even pronounce his name. It's Italian. But we know him from, here, I'm going to show you his pictures. All right, I'll show you his pictures, and I'll tell you where we know him from. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is him. Bum, 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 bum. Now, when I show you this picture, you're not going to recognize him. Boom, there he is. You're not going to recognize that guy because that's what he has looked like for the past 30 years, and none of us have seen him for 30 years. We know what he looked like when he was 20 years old. And when he was 20 years old, we might remember him as, I don't know, Perry from the Lords of Flatbush. Remember? Come on, the Lords of Flatbush? That's a Gen X dude movie, of course. He was Perry. He was like the big, or, ladies and gentlemen, how about, wait, is this, no, that's not him. That's not him. That's not him. There you go. How about Meat from Porky's? It was Meat. He was Meat from Porky's. Anyway, he died. See what was any other pictures. He was a good-looking dude. Or at least, I don't know. Hey, yo, 1970s, I'm going to be a movie star. And then everybody sort of embraced Henry Winkler, John Travolta, and Sylvester Stallone, and nobody had any room for this guy. Look at him. There he is. There he is. That was Perry from the Lords of Flatbush. He was big. He was scary. Like, he's a big badass dude. Totally missed out. Look, there he is. He's like 6'5". He's like really big. He missed out on the whole Hollywood action figure thing. Anyway, he's dead now. There he is from Porky's. He was in all the Porky's movies. Anyway, he's one of them guys that you look at and you go, oh, yeah, I know that dude. Well, he is dead now. He's dead. What does it say? Actor Tony Ganios, who appeared in Philip Kaufman's 1979 feature, The Wanderer. Oh, no, that's it. No, I'm sorry. I keep saying Lords of Flatbush. You guys, I'm sorry. It's The Wanderers, not the Lords of Flatbush. I'm so sorry. All right. But they're like kind of the same movie. You know what I mean? They're like very similar movies came out. I can be forgiven for conflating the two. Actor Tony Giannis, who appeared in Philip Kaufman's 1979 feature, The Wanderers, as well as 80s sex comedy Porky's, has died at the age of 64. The actor's fiance confirmed. He's got a fiance at 64. Good for him. Giannis got his start in Kaufman's coming-of-age drama about a teenage Italian gang living in the Bronx in 1963. That's The Wanderers. Giannis played the character of Perry in the film, which also starred Ken Wall and Karen Allen. Ken Wall! That's right! That's why I always liked this guy, because he was in Ken Wall movies. I told you about Ken Wall. Ken Wall's another one of these dudes who you thought was going to be a big star. Ken Wall's the guy who I told you that he was from my neighborhood. And he used to drink at the bar that we used to underage drink at. And so we go into the bar and Ken Wall would be sitting there while he was on CBS's Wise Guy. It's like this really handsome dude just like sitting there cranking back, getting shit-faced every night. That was Ken Wall. He was in The Wanderers with Ken Wall. Anyway, Giannis got a start in Kaufman's coming-of-age drama about a teenage gang living in the Bronx in 1963. He played Perry in the film. He followed that up with a performance in the feature Continental Divide, starring John Belushi. Another one of my favorites. I love that movie, Continental Divide. Blair Brown, John Belushi. It was a rom-com. It was a rom-com before there was a name for rom-coms. It is one of the earliest examples of rom-coms. Rom-coms truly didn't become a thing until the mid to late 80s. And I want to say Harry Met Sally might be ground zero. Certainly Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. You know, those were the early ones. Pretty Woman really put it on the mark as like a big bankable genre. But Continental Divide, John Belushi, after playing Bluto, after playing all of this stuff, John Belushi played a completely different role in Continental Divide. He played a leading man, a writer. He wasn't silly. He wasn't wacky. He was a dramatic actor. And then he died. And yeah, but anyway, it's that movie Continental Divide that people go, Belushi would have done way different stuff. Belushi would have done real serious acting like he did in Continental Divide. Anyway, this guy's dead. He was Meat in Porky's and he was Perry in The Wanderers. And I always liked him. I always thought I liked that guy. I hadn't thought about it until this morning when I saw the news report that he had died. I hadn't thought about him in 40 years, and neither had you. Here's a fun little story going on with the Eagles. There is a lawsuit concerning the Eagles, the Eagles, not the Philadelphia Eagles, the Hotel California Eagles. And in particular, the song Hotel California is at the center of this lawsuit. Now, what is it about? There is somebody's in possession of like 100 pages of handwritten notes and scribbles and ideas for songs. It's all the original Eagles stuff, right? Don Henley's notebook, where it's got the original Don Henley. The first time he sat down and wrote the first pass at Hotel California, the lyrics, boom, there they are. So that's worth something. A couple of other, Life in the Fast Lane is also in there. A couple other Eagles hits as well. So over the years, back in 1976 or whatever, when he was just scribbling on notebooks, you make a copy of this or whatever, and then they'd make copies of it. And then the notebook would get thrown in a drawer, and they didn't keep track of these things in the 70s. But oh my God, now through the passage of time, we're 50 years in the future, those things are worth something. So when they're starting to pop up now, these people who were so careless with them back in the time, they're starting to claim ownership. And that is exactly what's happening in this court case concerning the Eagles, and specifically Don Henley and these lyrics to Hotel California. Somebody, a collector, as a matter of fact, the people who are on trial in New York for this, one of them is the former curator of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. These are not a bunch of eBay dudes in a basement somewhere trading hot merch. These are legit music industry people. And the one guy who was the former curator of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he has in his possession the original lyrics to Hotel California, and he's trying to sell them or whatever, or loan them somewhere. And Don Henley saw that this was happening, and he said, "No, those are mine." Well, they haven't been yours in 40 years. It's your idea. You make the money off the song. And how did this guy get it? Oh, did he steal it from Don Henley's garage? No, this guy bought it at an auction like 10 years ago. It had been going through the system. People owned it. People paid for it. I mean, by the time it gets to this guy, there's no harm, no foul. He's not a criminal. He didn't steal these things. So anyway, the trial has begun in New York. Trial begins over ownership of handwritten lyrics to Hotel California. Nearly half a century after Hotel California became a rock mega hit, 3 men went on trial Wednesday in a criminal case about what became of a cache of hand-drafted lyrics to the song and other Eagles favorites. The case centers on roughly 100 pages of legal pad inscribed. The case centers on roughly 100 pages of legal pad pages inscribed with developmental versions of some of the most well-known lines in the rock songbook. The key witness is expected to be Eagles co-founder Don Henley, who wants to recover the manuscripts. The defendants are all well-established professionals in the collectibles world, and they got the documents from a writer and 1960s counterculture figure with rock roots of his own. So apparently, like back in the 70s, Don Henley gave these to some dude, like, "Hey, dude, man, why don't you just take these, man? I want you to have them." But apparently Don Henley now claims that he never did that or can't remember doing that. Well, you were probably fucked up, dude. You were probably fucked up and feeling benevolent with your friends. You probably gave shit away. And now it's 50 years later and you want it back. It hasn't been in your possession in years. I like Don Henley. Apparently he lives in Highland Park here somewhere. I don't know. He used to years ago. The case centers on roughly 100 pages of legal pad pages inscribed with developmental versions of some of rock's most well-known lines. The key witness is expected to be Eagles co-founder Don Henley, who wants to recover the manuscripts. The defendants are all well-established professionals. Prosecutors say the defendants, rare books dealer Glenn Horowitz, former Rock and Roll Hall of Fame curator Craig Inchianardi, and memorabilia seller Edward Kozinski peddled the pages while knowing their ownership history was shaky at best. Then prosecutors claim the men schemed to thwart Henley's efforts to reclaim what he says are stolen pieces of his legacy. The defendants were not businessmen acting in good faith, but criminal actors, Manhattan DA Nicholas Penford told in his opening statement. The men have pled not guilty to charges including conspiracy to possess stolen property. Their lawyers say the documents simply weren't stolen, and that the men did nothing illegal. That they were all nothing illegal by buying or trying to sell them. They have accused 3 innocent men of a crime that never occurred, Inchianardi's lawyer, Stacey Richmond, said during opening statements. I tend to agree with that. What's at stake here is ownership. Can we stop talking about this like it's a crime? This is not a crime. Nobody kicked in Don Henley's garage and stole a whole bunch of his stuff that he had in boxes, right? This is a memorabilia thing. Who owns it? That's what we need to stop pretending like these people are criminals and that they're going to face jail time for this. Because honestly, who owns it? I think, right? Don't we always err on the side of that possession being 9/10 of the law? These dudes, if this has not been in the possession of Don Henley for 40 years, but has been in the possession of many other people, it's changed hands, money, an entire economy has been built around the trading and selling and reselling and flipping of these notes. It's Don Henley has no right to them at this point. Dude, just keep cashing the checks for when the song comes in. You know what I mean? You're making money off the music. The defense says that Henley voluntarily gave away the documents and leveraged prosecutors to try and take them back. The prosecution effectively makes a crime out of any circumstance in which a celebrity tells you this property is mine and you don't give it back when they ask for it. Hold on, let me try and do this again. The prosecution effectively makes a crime out of any circumstance in which a celebrity tells you this is my property and you don't give it back when they ask. I don't fucking, all right, whatever, who cares? Anyway, there you go. Eagles. I don't even know how much these things are worth. Like, what are we talking about? Like, what could the original pass of Hotel California written in hand by Don Henley, what could that be worth? I have no idea what these things are worth. I don't think anybody else does either. I think it has to do with how much money does the idiot who really wants it have, right? So that's no way to run a business. You hope you get somebody who just really has to have that. I'll give you an example. So President Bush's, I think this is Herbert Walker. This is the first Bush. President Bush's speedboat just sold at an auction last night. It sold for $445,000. I'm like, is that a deal? I don't know. It's a president's boat. First of all, what does that boat cost new, right? And then how much of a premium are we attaching to it because it was owned by a president? I don't know. These things are all whatever they're worth. All right, the last thing that we're going to do here today, this is interesting. This doesn't really have anything to do with trending topics, but I thought this would be interesting to go through because I was fascinated by it. I couldn't put it down. I went through this whole report. So do you guys know what the NIL is? Do we know what this is? The NIL? The NIL is what does that stand for? National income. The NIL earnings is how college athletes are now legally allowed to make a living while performing college sports. See, for years and years, we all complained, and I was one of the largest complainers. I always thought that was nonsense. That you're telling me you got a coach down there at Southern Miss making $15 million a year, and these kids are not getting anything. And then if they take a free meal from a car dealer, they're gonna miss an entire year of. Come on, it was bullshit. It was nonsense. College athletics makes shit tons of money. A lot of people are getting wealthy off of what, to my eye, equated to little more than slave labor. And the only reason you people defend it is because it's the way it's always been and you don't like change. It's wrong. It's always been wrong. Stop it. Well, if it was fine for people in the 70s, that's a terrible way of looking at life. So if one group of people, so if you go through shit, if you go through a terrible experience, you believe that it's only right that everyone else has to go through that terrible experience. You wouldn't want to like pave the way for the people behind you so that nobody else has to go through that terrible. You're a piece of shit. Most people are. Anyway, I don't give a shit, right? These people, they make their money, NILs, and they're making a lot of money. And it is changed. I don't believe that we have really seen the full effects of this change, but I think we will. I think in 10 years, I think by 10 years from now, in 10 years from now, when suddenly, I don't know, trying to think of what would be the school, Columbia University in New York City. 10 years from now, when Columbia University is winning the college football national championship every year against USC or UCLA or Miami, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's going to change. Kids can get paid now. Kids can get paid now for playing college football. Why did I say Columbia? Because I believe that the big cities who heretofore have not had a major presence in college football, the big cities is where the big money can be made. So therefore, if there's a college football program in a big city, they're probably going to start to attract the biggest talent because, you can make a lot of money playing for UCLA when you can tap into Hollywood. You can make a lot of money playing for NYU or Rutgers. Rutgers is probably the one that's going to explode. I think Rutgers University is probably suddenly going to become a powerhouse because a bunch of people are going to go there because you can make more money in NILs as a player at Rutgers University than you can in Alabama, than you can in the middle of a rural state where there isn't the local car dealer is going to pay you. But if you play in New York, I mean, Jesus, man, they put you on. All I'm saying is proximity to the big money. So I'm fascinated by the NIL and the way it's changing college football and the way it's going to continue to change college football. The transfer portal is also completely related to the NIL. Players are now, these transfer portals, players are transferring for better NIL opportunities. So you're either for it or you're against it. I'm fine with it. But they put out a list of the athletes, the highest paid athletes in college through NIL licensing agreements. This is fascinating. Let's go through the top 10. Actually, let me see how far back do we go, because as you would expect, it's heavily dominated by NCAA football and NCAA basketball players, but it isn't heavily dominated by purely male sports. There's a bunch of other sports represented here, and women are very well represented. The most lucrative, you would think NBA or women's basketball? No, gymnastics. Women's gymnastics. There's a bunch of girls who are, at University of Miami. She's on the gymnast team. She made $3 million in NIL last year. Why? Because at the next Olympics, everybody's going to be saying her name, right? We just don't know who she is next. But that's why gymnasts are getting paid a shit ton of money in college, because there's a chance that they're going to go to the Olympics and become a national icon. So here we go. Let's go with the top 10. Top 10, let's see, coming in at $1.4 million in his freshman year out of Liberty High School in Frisco, Texas. Evan Stewart. He is a wide receiver. Oregon. Estimated $1.4 million, number 10 on the list of NIL earners. Number 9, this is a kid out of Mandarin, Florida. Okay, Carson Beck. He is a quarterback. $1.5 million, University of Georgia. Quarterback Carson Beck, $1.5 million in NIL earnings. Number 8. This one is this another Alabama? Yes, Alabama. I'm sorry, not another. This is the first of the Alabamas. This is Jalen Milroe out of Katy, Texas. He's a quarterback down there in Alabama. $1.6 million in NIL licensing earnings. Number 7. Here we go. Number 7. This is the first one to upset the apple cart of basketball and football. Number 7, we've got Angel Reese, LSU. She is a senior on the LSU women's basketball team. She made $1.7 million in NIL earnings. Number six, here comes another local kid making good. Quinn Ewers, South Lake Carroll. Go Dragons. University of Texas quarterback, $1.9 million in NIL. The University of Texas is gonna continue to be fine. There is a lot of money to be made in Austin. Austin is a media epicenter, and places that have media epicenters are going to thrive in this new college football NIL. Hollywood is going to thrive. Big cities are going to thrive just because of opportunities. Austin, Texas, please. Think there's any opportunities? Once a year, the entire creative force of the entertainment industry descends upon Austin, Texas for South by Southwest. Yes, I think there might be some NIL deals signed that weekend. Quinn Ewers, $1.9 million. Number 5 on the list of college kids who are making so much money to play a sport. This is NCAA football. It's Travis Hunter. He plays for Oklahoma. He plays for Colorado. I'm sorry, I couldn't tell what that was. I'm like, well, it's obviously a buffalo, but is that a C? It didn't look like a C. Travis Hunter, he is a cornerback at the University of Colorado. He plays in that crazy Deion Sanders echo chamber where there's a lot of dudes making money up there. Number 5, Travis Hunter, cornerback, University of Colorado, $2.3 million. Number four in the NIL earnings. How about this one? Another one. University of Texas, ladies and gentlemen, quarterback of the future, Arch Manning. That's right, the next Manning kid. He made $2.8 million. $2.8 million. NCAA gymnasts come in here at number 3. Here's number 3. Have you ever heard of Livy Dunn? She is a junior at LSU. Livy Dunn is a junior on the gymnastics team at LSU. She is a favorite for the upcoming Olympics. She made $3.5 million last year as a college gymnast. $3.5 million. Number 2 on the list. Here we go. Here's the big 2. 2 and 1. And they got famous names. Nepo babies, both. That's why they're at the top of this. Number 2 on the list of top earners in NIL money for college kids, we've got quarterback from the University of Colorado, Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion, $4.7 million. $4.7 million. It doesn't matter if he goes play pros. Doesn't matter. He may not ever play pro again. That's all right. That's fine. He's made enough money. Hell, man, stay in college. Stay in college as long as you can. As long as you can cash that NIL money. $4.7 million. Why go pro? Number 1. Here's the guy. Here's the guy who is making more money in college. I don't know. I'm not a great believer in him. I don't think that he's going to be a great pro. Bronny James. That's right. 18, 19-year-old son of LeBron James. He is a freshman at USC basketball. NIL money for Bronny James, someone who certainly doesn't need it. Bronny James in Hollywood playing at USC as LeBron James' son. $5.8 million. $5.8 million. Adam says, so the 2 UT quarterbacks make over $3.5 million. Is that the number? Arch Manning is at 2.8 and Quinn Ewers is at 1.9. So whatever the math is there. It also we've got social media followers. Okay. That's also interesting here. Social media followers. It looks like, who's got the most? Bronny James has 13.5 million social media followers. That's a reason. That's a big reason for a lot of that money. He gets paid to tweet about, I don't know, testicle deodorant. I don't know, what do they do? Hey, man, this is the best testicle deodorant on the market. I'm Bronny James. He's got 13.5 million followers on social media. Shador Sanders has only 2.4 as compared to that gymnast girl from LSU, Livy Dunn. She's got 12.4 million followers. She's the closest to Bronny James, and she doesn't even have a famous father, and nobody's heard of her. That's how apparently there is a following for national gymnastics, because she's cranking, man. Livy Dunn, 12.4 million followers. Let's see, who else? Those are the two biggest, Bronny James and the gymnast girl. Yeah. 2.4 million, 145,000, 3.2, 3.1. Yeah, that's it. And it's not even close. It's not even close. There's only a few of these people with over 1 million followers. Bronny James, 13.5 million followers. Number 2, Livy Dunn, gymnast from LSU, 12.4 million followers. All right, there you have it. 4.5 million in quarterback money down there at Texas. I got no problem with it. I really don't. I think that if whatever you create, whatever scene, whatever pandemonium, people are cashing in. When you play in college, and you're a good team and that little town is going crazy and everybody's cashing checks off of your hard work. And by cashing checks, I mean people showing up from out of town and getting hotel rooms and eating dinner in restaurants and spending time in bars and all of that stuff that goes with whatever it is that you have helped create as a member of the team. I think you should make a little money off of that, especially when you consider that you're probably not going pro. Isn't that going to be interesting after a few years to look at the people who made millions and millions of dollars in college who then never panned out in the pros or didn't even get drafted or didn't even turn pro because, look, they made almost $8 million in NIL money. And by the way, all you've got to do is become a personality. Like the NIL money is tethered very, and I'm not going to say exclusively, but to your social media reach. So how do you get a big social media reach? Well, right, look at me trying to answer this question. The first thing and the most obvious thing is that you need to have an association with a platform that has a large established following. Right? So being quarterback of LSU, that's a pretty good platform to be associated with. So if you walk into the quarterback job at LSU and you come from butt scratch Georgia, where nobody knows who you are, and you've got 150 followers, all of a sudden, once you become the quarterback for LSU, I bet you go up to about 100,000 and you're like, wow. And at that point, then the companies start come calling. They're like, hey, I see that you've got a whole bunch of followers. And then you grow it. And you grow it. And you don't even necessarily have to be a great player. You just got to be a personality that people, like and enjoy. Use the platform. I don't know. I don't have a problem with the NIL money at all. And it seems to me that people who do have a problem with it, the people that are like, I don't like it, when you push back on that, they really only have a problem with the fact that it's a change from what they're used to. Like they can't really quantify why, because the facts are the facts. The facts are that, whole bunch of people in universities make billions of dollars off of these kids. And then they blow their knee out and all of a sudden they're selling meat out of a trunk if they're lucky, right? Some of them are laying in the gutter. Some of them are discarded. Meanwhile, Bobby Bowden is like shitting in a gold toilet. I don't know. You get me started on this. Why did I name check Bobby Bowden? I don't know, because I'm an old head. That's a true story. Bobby Bowden had a gold toilet. That was a true story. That's why I said it. Bobby Bowden famously had a gold toilet installed. Like a Middle Eastern dictator. Bobby Bowden was the head coach of Florida State. He's the old ball coach. Or wait, was that Bowden or was that Spurrier? It was Bowden. Bowden's the old ball coach, most overrated coach in the history of college football, Bobby Bowden. All right, moving on with his gold toilet. I think we're out of show. I think that's it. I would encourage you to support the show. Drop a little something in the Venmo or in the Cash App. We'd love to have an executive producer for tomorrow, so help out if you can. I'll be on with James Parker today at 4:30. Join us there. I'm going to be doing an entertainment report. No idea what that entertainment report will entail. Eagles trial. That's it. We'll talk about the Eagles trial. That's a good one. There you go. All right. So I'm going to get way more into the Eagles trial. I'll find out all the information that I was too lazy to find out before I shared it with you. But I will bring the heat at 4:30 today on WBAP 93.3 with James Parker. All right, that's it. I love you guys. Gotta go. Bye. See you tomorrow at noon.